Check this out. Today I have two engines with dead batteries. This right here is a 3.6 liter V6. This right here is a 5.3 liter V8. Today I'm introducing and demonstrating the new Milwaukee M18 HOTSHOT jump starter. So this has new to world technology, which takes the battery and it charges some internal capacitors, and then that delivers some major power to start your vehicle. So the traditional technology is using something like this that has an internal battery. You have to charge it up overnight, and then sometimes you might only get like 3 or 4 jumps off of something like this. If it's hard to start, there's times that you really only get your vehicle to start once, and then you have to go and charge it again. So this is actually rated at getting 70 jumps off of one 5 amp hour M18 battery. So today I'm running the XC 6 amp hour battery, and it has 3 bars on it, and we're gonna see how it works on the Tahoe first. Here's a handy quick start guide that comes attached to your HOTSHOT, and just want to show you, it's very simple to use, but in case you forget and you don't use it very often, you might just want to keep this handy on there. So I've only used this a few times. Check this out. All right, let's go ahead and turn it on. Press the charge capacitor button. There you see it's climbing up right there. Now it takes a minute from 99 to 100. There we go, we're at 100. Now we're gonna go ahead and clamp that onto our vehicle. And one thing I have to say, the first thing I noticed when I opened this up out of the box, I really like these clamps. These clamps are excellent. You can just see the nice teeth on there. They have nice alignment on both sides, they're the same. So here's a look at some of the jumper cables I've had for years. I was glad to see they didn't have this type of design. You can see these are basically out of alignment. These don't really lock on that well, but the Milwaukee ones do. All right, so let's go ahead. So I believe the instructions say to clamp the red one on the positive first. All right, that's good. And now the black one second. And one thing I was wondering if it said in the instructions to clamp this to a ground on your vehicle, but it actually said to clamp this to the black negative post. All right, there we go. See what kind of reading we have here. All right, we are at 5, it's varying right now, right around 5 volts. So that battery is quite dead. We're at 100% there. All right, now we're gonna push the jump start button. See, we have 30 seconds to go ahead and start it. All right, so you disconnect the negative first, positive second. Just gonna go ahead and shut it off. So it is possible that it may not start the first time, so you just go ahead and do that sequence another time and it should start. So you can see when you're done with it, you can easily wind it up. These leads are pretty short, so there's not much to get in the way. So you just have to wrap it a little tighter. That around there, that around there. Clamp that right there, and there you go. You can just see that is completely organized right there. Then this side, just do the same. All right, there you go. And it has a nice little carrying handle right here. And then right here, we have a USB, let me open this up a minute, a USB-C. So you push that button and you can go ahead and charge your phone with it, which is great. Then right here, so this is off. You don't need to have this on. You can just go ahead, hit the light. So you can see that, see what light, that's high, that's medium, that's low. And then right here, so this is not just a strobe light, this is actually a SOS light. See, 3 fast, 1, 2, 3 slow, then 3 fast. So I don't know, maybe in the wintertime, if you went into the ditch or something and you needed some help, this would be the ideal thing to have, especially having that SOS signal. I haven't seen that on anything like this before. That's pretty cool. So up until this point, I showed you the advantages that this HOTSHOT has right here with the new to world technology, the internal capacitors and how they are charged by the battery, and how this has just one internal battery that is slow to charge and it drains relatively fast, where you're gonna get a lot more jump starts with this one right here. So just to give you a really high overview on my perception of how this works with the capacitors. So if you go into public buildings, especially schools, you're gonna see a defibrillator somewhere. And the way that they work, they charge off these little batteries right here. They're somewhere between like a AA size and a C size, but probably closer to the AA. There's 10 of them that go in this defibrillator right here. So those little batteries charge up the capacitors inside the defibrillator, and then once they're at 100%, then it puts out that big jolt of power to save somebody's life. So it's really quite an ingenious design, and I think it's exciting to see Milwaukee have something like that in the HOTSHOT right here. So I'm hoping that this unit right here does really well, and then maybe Milwaukee will introduce another unit that will jumpstart the bigger diesel engines, like the 3/4, 1 ton, or even larger than that. So I think that's pretty exciting. So another quick stat I have for you, the capacitors are rated at 500,000 jump starts. So that's quite a bit. All right, so the sun went down and now it's about an hour later and we're back out here again. The battery is still dead. I need to put a charger on it overnight to let it fully charge, to trickle charge it. But let's say your battery is so dead that this won't start it, the jump starter. So then there is an override feature. So if your battery, I believe it reads like 1.5 volt or less. So to do the override mode, you do the same thing. We're gonna go ahead and we're going to power this up to 100%. We're at 100, and then you press and hold the override button, I think for at least a couple seconds. There we go. We're in override. There's a different symbol right there. Go ahead and start it. Okay, now we're going to jump start the V6 right here. What's interesting, the battery is not up here. It's actually on the passenger side in the middle, on the middle row under their feet. There is a compartment down there. But they do have some posts up here that you can use to jump start your vehicle. So we're going to actually use this multimeter right here, and we're going to just see how close this aligns to the readings on this right here. So we're going to check the volts. It's staying steady at 5.5. Let's go ahead and clamp this on. There's a post for the ground right there. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on. And yeah, it's saying 5.5, 5.6. It's varying between those two. So I tried to start it, and actually the key is locked in there. All right, so it shows the capacitors right now are at 97%. Let's go ahead and top that off. So we're at 100%. Now we're gonna go ahead and hit that, see that key, you're gonna push that. Huh, had a little spark click sound there, that's interesting. 25 seconds, let me go try to start it. All right, for some reason that didn't start. Let me get down there again. Make sure it's a nice solid connection. And I'm gonna go ahead and hit, let's see if that does anything. Oh, now it's giving me power. All right, that's good. Here's a situation where I think the Milwaukee HOTSHOT Jumpster has a major advantage, and that's if you have a vehicle that has a parasitic drain or parasitic draw. So this vehicle right here has just that. So I think I may have fixed it. So last winter what I was doing is charging the battery overnight, and then I would go out the next day, and then I would keep that internal battery type jump starter that was before the HOTSHOT came out, and that would maybe get me 1 or 2 jumps. And then if it wasn't powerful enough and you're trying to jumpstart your car, if you don't have enough power, that key will lock up and you can't get your key out of the ignition. So it's kind of like stuck in that middle position. With this right here, getting up to 70 jumps on a single battery, then I know that I'm not gonna ever have that issue. So So the capacitors in here really solve that problem, so I won't ever be stranded again. And I don't have to worry about not having enough power to jumpstart something. If I am concerned, I'll just bring another M18 battery with me. So I have a quick story I want to share with you about jumper cables. They've really come in handy. They've helped me in situations get my vehicle running, and I've also used them to help other people get their vehicle running. But I've also had experience where I was driving this truck that I had when I was probably about 18 or 19, and I was in college, and I was with some friends. I drove this truck to play some IM basketball in the winter time, and a smart thing we didn't do, we just wore shorts and maybe like a hoodie, and there was like snow on the ground. It's cold. It's in Michigan, probably like a January. And this guy in a station wagon with his wife and a couple of kids, they asked me if I could jump start their station wagon, and I hooked it up to my truck with his cables, and his vehicle is finally cranking over, it won't start. And then after a few minutes of doing that, we got his vehicle to start, and then my vehicle stalled and I lost all my power. So I think I like zapped out my alternator by doing that. And then we were stranded. We had to call somebody else to come pick us up, and it was just a whole mess, kind of threw the whole day off. So that's why I don't like jumper cables. That was before we had cell phones and we're outside in the wintertime in shorts. So there's a couple things you need to know about this HOTSHOT right here. So if you have a diesel truck, it will turn over an engine up to a 3 liter. So it's rated for probably like a 1500 series, half ton. But if you have something bigger than that, then it's not rated for a diesel engine that size. But I don't know if anybody's tested that out on a bigger diesel. I don't have one, but I'd like to see if it will in fact turn a bigger engine over. But then on the other hand, for a gas engine, this will crank over something much bigger. I don't know the number right offhand, but I will put it right here, how many liters that engine is that this will start. And then when it comes to the price, it's $299, I believe. So if you want to check this out at the Home Depot website, I have a link down below, and there you can see the latest reviews and ratings on it, and you can see some other specs I may have left out. So anyways, I hope you find this video to be helpful, interesting, and informative. That's it for now, friends. Thanks for watching. See you next time.